Yeah.
Hi, welcome everybody. We are live.
Thank you, Ria. Thank you. Hi, Shruti. May I request you to please start the discussion?
Sure. All right. Very warm good afternoon to everyone. And on behalf of working group for apprenticeship that has been convened today, which is about apprenticeship and its benefits for employers. So the working group at UVA basically understood the need to create awareness among the employers as well as among the young people, so that they are more aware about apprenticeship, its processes, the policy, and how you can adopt it as part of your organization. So with that need, we started a series of these workshops. There have been few sessions which have already been conducted in the last 4 to 5 months, and this perhaps is the last of the session. So I'm really thankful for all of you to joining this session. With us, we have Mr. Jan Eben, who is an expert on apprenticeship, has dedicated a lot of his time and energy to understand apprenticeship in the country. Jan, over to you to throw more light on apprenticeship and its value proposition.
Jan?
Jan, you are on mute.
Unmute myself. Okay. Took me a little effort to unmute myself, but a very good afternoon to all, and thank you, Shruti, for the introduction. And it's my pleasure to give you an introduction to apprenticeship in India and, for that matter, anywhere else in the world. But can I ask that the slides are enlarged? Because I will only see a very small one there.
Yeah, it's enlarged.
It's, anyway, I have a second set here on my other screen, and we are on slide 4, I presume.
Yep.
Introduction about apprenticeship and its evolution. So I will continue with that. You see the same thing as I do. And we have here mentioning of the Apprentices Act, which came in 1961 in India. And I'd like to say and pronounce that when this was done in India in 1961, it was actually one of the most progressive and also early legal interventions to establish apprenticeship. And to the best of my knowledge, it was only Switzerland and interestingly also Pakistan that had an apprenticeship ordinance, which actually was very similar at the time to that of India. And it was meant to, here it says, to regulate and promote. We put the emphasis on promotion of apprenticeship training in industry, and that also means largely large industries. So the focus of the Apprenticeship Act was much less on services sector, much less on MSMEs, and obviously also not much on the non-formal sector. Industry was in the focus. And this is also important today because if we want to scope up apprenticeship, we'll have to go beyond industry into MSMEs, into the non-formal sector to make apprenticeship more popular. But a lot of these things are already happening. And when you look at the little box with the numbers on the right side of the slide, you see the cumulative numbers. How many companies have been registered, how many companies are actively engaging apprentices, candidates registered, and apprentices engaged. And that's cumulative. And if you think of it, that has been since 1961, it may not be very large numbers, but the boost has come lately over the past 2-3 years, and that's quite encouraging. The number that is the critical number here, of course, is the companies actively engaging apprentices, and that's 32,000 plus. And if you consider that India has about 2,200,000 registered companies. You can see that there is already that there is still a lot to grow into, but that's why I appreciate initiative like UNICEF Yuva to raise awareness and consciousness and knowledge all about apprenticeship. And we're moving forward fast, but there is still a long way to go. We can go to the next slide, if you please.
Yeah.
And there we see slide number 6, please. Okay, so here we actually see where we stand earlier this year, data per the 31st of March this year. And I'd like to draw your attention to apprentices engaged in financial year 21-22. And there you see the number of 5.75 lakh of apprentices that have come in the year 21-22. And that is quite astonishing, but also a very pleasant surprise in my opinion, because it was the year of the COVID situation. And what may explain this this sudden rise, you see the numbers growing in the box on the right also. This sudden rise in the year of COVID, I believe it has to do that a lot of employers have realized and actualized that especially a migrant labor force is not the most sustainable and is not the most reliable. But however, qualified skilled labor that has been trained by the company and in the company is reliable and is sustainable base for the workforce. And this insight has been boosted by COVID. Not to mention, of course, all the concerted effort by many stakeholders. We see an overview of the stakeholders in apprenticeship in the next slide to bring apprenticeship forward. So this is very good. It is encouraging, and the government has actually, government of India has proposed to double this number from year to year, and hopefully we can make it happen again in the current year. Quick look at the top 5 sectors and top 5 states. The top 5 sectors are automotive, retail, IT, power industry, and electronics. And yes, obviously that represents or reflects the industry structure of the country, as well as the top 5 states from Maharashtra, Gujarat, Haryana, Tamil Nadu, and Uttar Pradesh show that apprenticeship is especially taking hold in those states that have a strong industrial base. Haryana has been coming very strongly over the past year, and now a surprise is Uttar Pradesh, because it is also catching up very rapidly. But I would presume that most of the apprenticeship opportunities that are created in the state are in the western part of Uttar Pradesh. That means those parts that are adjacent to the national capital region, or part of the national capital region, and adjacent to Delhi and Haryana. But yeah, one more time, if you look at the growth pattern in the box on the right, you see over the years a doubling from year to year, and hopefully another doubling coming up in the year that we are in. If we go to the next slide, we have a very nice overview here over the stakeholders in the apprenticeship ecosystem. And let me go and begin on the left and go around clockwise. We have government agencies, notably the Ministry of Skills Development and Entrepreneurism, the regional directories, and then there is MSDE, which in my conviction is not really a government agency, but should be something like a public-private partnership. But because in MSDE, 51% of its ownership is the private sector, 49% the government, but the government finances the program, so it also has the character of a government agency. We come to the sector skill councils that are hugely important as assurers of quality and achievement in apprenticeship. They run the assessment system, they award the qualifications. Then we have TPAs, so-called third-party aggregators, and I believe, Satya, that in the course of your presentation you will explain a little bit more what some of these agencies do. But third-party aggregators, in a nutshell, are there to support industries in doing the administrative part and the bureaucratic part and the paperwork part in apprenticeship, but they can do also provide any kind of a service along the course of the life cycle of apprenticeship that begins with the recruitment and mobilization of apprentices, that goes all the way through their selection. They're taking them in under a contract, organizing the curriculum for them, all the way to the end of managing their preparation for final assessment and placing them in permanent employment once the apprenticeship is over. Then there are basic training providers, which are oftentimes skill services providers, because the basic training, which is part of any apprenticeship under the Apprentices Act, it's the preparatory, the basic part, which usually comes at the beginning, can be outsourced, can be done. It's something that is better done in the classroom because it's an introduction to the workplace, to the company, things like that. Then we have industry bodies, Confederation of Indian Industry and NASSCOM are mentioned here. Some of these double up as sector skill councils, and some of these also have TPAs as a subsidiary organizations. So we see this is closely networked within the ecosystem. And then most important, perhaps, or one of the two most important, is the employers who create and provide the apprenticeship opportunity, the on-the-job training. Institutions like colleges are coming up with significant importance because of the growth of skills universities in India, and because of skills universities offering dual study programs or apprenticeship and academic course combined, leading to double credentials and to double qualifications, and also making because the work practice that is provided, making the transition from university to the world of work so much more easy and so much more smooth. And then we have a number of non-profit agencies and institutions and international agencies and institutions, and named here are ILO and UNDP. I would make it a point to include UNICEF here also with this wonderful Yuva initiative. They're doing great in helping India, comparing the Indian apprenticeship ecosystem with international standards, and providing opportunities for international cooperation. My own organization, GIZ, German International Cooperation, might also be mentioned here. And then finally, we have the candidates, I'll put it candidates / apprentices / ex-apprentices who have successfully completed their apprenticeship and made the transition through apprenticeship into permanent employment. And yes, indeed, the placement rates of apprentices in permanent employment are quite convincing. Typically 50 to 60% get permanent employment in their own company with their own employer, whereas all the others will have no difficulty with the good experience that they have gained through their apprenticeship to find a permanent employment in the labor market. Next thing to look at is the results of the surveying that Yuva has done about awareness of apprenticeship among employers. And again, here we see that that both the awareness rate as well as the participation rate, the first being 33%, the latter being 25%, leaves a lot to be worked on, especially if the pronounced goal of Mission 1 Million, which has been pronounced by Ministry of Skills Development and Entrepreneurism, is to be reached. One of the instruments that has been created of lately is the National Apprenticeship Mela, which takes place on every second Monday of every month in every state down to the district level. And that is a low threshold opportunity for the students to come in. The ITIs in India across all states are very good in mobilizing students to come to these melas, but it is also a great opportunity for any employer or for any industry to get started into apprenticeship. Besides going to the www.apprenticeshipindia.gov.in website to get a orientation, to look at the materials, the instructional videos that are there, to get registered, of course, which is one condition, but the website plus the Melas provide easy opportunities to get started, so it is not difficult. It's just oftentimes a matter of making the first step, and I very strongly encourage all those industry representatives, all HR professionals that are listening and following this YouTube session to do this first step. It is highly beneficial to create a sustainable, highly skilled workforce for their own company, but it is also important to have this sustainable and highly skilled workforce for the international or global competitiveness of the Indian economy. With that, Satya, I give back to you. I think you take it from here and show us in greater detail who some of the stakeholders, their services are. Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure having been here. And I may stay on for questions later on, but I'll off camera and microphone.
Yeah, thank you, Jan. Thank you very much for putting up the introduction and taking all of us through various stakeholders involved and how the statistics looks like for the whole country about apprenticeship. Thank you very much. Please be in the call. So we might have some questions coming from the participants and we will address that in the later stage. Yeah. Thank you, Jan. So now I will take through, so as an employer, as an establishment, what is that for me if I engage apprentices, right? So when we look at this picture on the screen, if we come from the top right, the first thing is about compliance. So the government has put a rule in place that any company which is having more than 30 people in their organization need to engage minimum 2.5% of their headcount as apprentices. So by following this rule, by engaging apprentices to that minimum level, the company would be compliant to the government process. That is the first thing. When I come to the little right, that is talk about organization stability. When we will have, the apprentices engaged in our organization, we will have, it will be helpful for managing the attrition, and we will have a long-term commitment to. There is a program called Apprentices Embedded Degree Program, which is again, it runs for 3 years. So some courses are there like BBA Retailing, BBA Hotel Management, BSc Automotive, that we will be discussing in a later part of this presentation. So in that case, it's a win-win situation for the students and also for the companies. The third thing is about workforce pipeline, where we will have a continuous supply of fresh candidates, right? Which the companies can train them as per their requirement, as per the latest technology the company is looking for. So it will, and then there is no obligation for the organization to regularize all of them, right? So it's a, let's say the apprenticeship is for 12 months. So once the 12 months is over, the apprentices can choose to continue in the same organization, or they may even move to different organization. So it's a, again, the collaboration between the organization and the apprentice happens at there. And we have a dedicated web portal developed by Government of India, Ministry of Skill Development, Entrepreneurship, and NSDC and all, to manage all these processes through a centralized portal called as apprenticeshipindia.gov.in. That again, I will be taking you through in the latter part of this presentation. One of the important parameters here is also that the government is paying back to the organization who are engaging some apprentices in the form of an incentive. That is for the National Apprentice Promotion Scheme. It is 1,500 rupees per month per apprentice up to 1 year. And if the apprentices are engaged with National Apprentice Training Scheme, then the government is paying an incentive up to 4,500 per month. Okay. On top of it, the establishment is exempted from contributing to the EPF and ESI. And any engagement of apprentices above the 2.5% can be calculated under CSR benefits. And on top of all these things, whether it is a compliance or organizational stability or workforce pipeline and all, the most important thing is that by engaging apprentices, the establishments are creating opportunities for the youth of the country. So it's a nation building exercise, right? That's why we encourage and we appreciate all the participants, all the employers here, that please start engaging apprentices in your organization. I will take all of you through the policy walkthrough about apprenticeship. So in the apprenticeship ecosystem, there is a central body called as CSC, which has two implementation partner. One is the central government and one is the state government. Because without we have a local implementation authority, it will be very difficult to implement anything on the ground. So we have central government, where Ministry of Education and Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship are two implementing bodies for central government. So within Ministry of Education, we have BOAT or BOPT, that is nothing but Board of Apprenticeship Training and Board of Practical Training. And within MSDE, we have again two implementing hands. One is DGT, that is Director General of Training, and one is NSDC. So DGT takes care of majorly to the the traditional things, and NSDC about the optional trades that we have. And within DGT, we have a Regional Director of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, and within NSDC, we have Sector Skill Council who supports NSDC in the implementation. In the state government, we have again state apprentice advisors and also SSDMs, state skill development missions. So this is the ecosystem that has been built from the government side to implement this apprenticeship program in the country. In this apprenticeship program, as in the previous slide we have seen, we have two things. One is National Apprentice Promotion Scheme, which is run by Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. It's having two categories. One is Director General of Training and second is NSDC. And the portal that has been used to administer all these processes of apprenticeship is apprenticeshipindia.gov.in for both DGT and NSDC. And the minimum qualification required is ITI pass for DGT, whereas for NSDC, for the optional trades, anybody who has passed 5th class and above can be part of this program. The duration is up to the organization based on the requirements, which varies from minimum 6 months to 36 months. And the training is being done by establishment. Assessment is done by an NCVT for DGT, and for NSDC, it is done by either the establishments or the Sector Skill Council, or in combination of both of them. The minimum stipend that government has defined is 5,000 rupees for class 5th pass out onwards, and up to 9,000 rupees for the graduate apprentices. However, the companies can pay more than this amount based on their budgets and their requirements and all. And if the apprenticeship is extending for a period of more than 1 year, then there is a provision that from the second year, the candidates will get a 10% hike based on the first year thing, and on the third year, it will be a 15% hike, right? And for the incentive part, the employer will be getting 1,500 rupees per month for this National Apprentice Promotion Scheme. We have basic training reimbursement also. There are some companies who does basic training by themselves. And also there are some specific basic training providers who are engaged in training of these candidates. So they are also being incentivized by government. Now coming to the second part of this apprenticeship, which is run by Ministry of Education, that is called as National Apprenticeship Training Scheme. This is being managed through BOAT and BOPT, and the portal that has been dedicatedly created is mhrdnuts.gov.in. For this, the diploma holders and graduates in any streams are eligible to apply, and they can be part of this apprenticeship program. And any organization which is engaging the graduates or diploma holders within the NATS scheme, they will be incentivized with respect to around 4,500 rupees for the graduate candidates and 4,000 rupees for the diploma apprentices. This is per month, and which can be up to 1 year. Now, this apprenticeship journey, if we see, it has started, the act was started in 1961, and then over a period of time, it has been going through various improvements and adaptations based on the requirements of the industry, and to make it more interesting for the industry and also for the candidates. In 2015, this apprenticeship things was shifted to Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, and then we have in 2016 we have NAPS scheme came into picture, where we also added the optional trades, where the establishment themselves can design a syllabus for their requirement, and that can be approved by the Sector Skill Council, and that's what is the optional trade. So it is not that whatever government has defined for a particular trade, the establishment need to follow it, but the establishment are free to design their own curriculum based on their industry requirement in collaboration with Sector Skill Council. And then we have also some additional changes came in 2021, like simplifying the policies, the guidelines. Earlier, there used to be a imprisonment for the employers if they don't engage the minimum threshold of the apprentices, but that has been removed. So those kind of changes has been implemented in a later stage of NAPS. There are some minimum guidelines or rules that need to be followed. So if we see the top left part of the box, it talks about the organization which are having more than 30 people, they are required to engage a minimum 2.5% of their headcount as apprentices, and they can go up to maximum 15% of the strength. So the difference or the addition of 2.5% of apprentices can be counted under CSR also. For an apprentice perspective, the minimum age requirement is 14 plus years for the trades, for the general trades, and 18 plus years for the hazardous industries. Now, in this apprenticeship scheme, the minimum or the mandatory requirement is that there has to be a contract that has to be created between an establishment and the apprentices which are engaged there. And then there are some, in case the specific company have some requirements, like they need to do some overtime and all. So that is purely, between the candidates and then the companies. Okay, and companies need to give a minimum stipend of 5,000 to 9,000 rupees based on their educational qualification. That's the minimum requirement. However, the companies can pay more. And basic training can be done either by the establishment itself if they have the facility, or they can be done through the basic training provider. And there is a penalty clause, even though the imprisonment has been removed, but there is a penalty clause still there, which talks that in case you are not meeting the minimum threshold, you need to pay 500 rupees as a shortfall penalty. So that's the reason we encourage all the employers, all the establishment to look forward to engage minimum 2.5% of apprentices in the organization. And there are some important things that need to be also considered. One thing is these apprentices who are undergoing training, they should be considered as trainees. They're not workers. So in that perspective, when they're not workers, the employers are not bound to pay the PF and ESI for the trainees, right? However, they can choose to cover this trainings under their medical insurance scheme or any other, allowances what they have in their companies to keep them motivated. So this is up to purely the industries to decide. How the process flow works in this NAPS, it's a detailed process flow, like the first there has to be a need, the skilling need to be identified by the employer, and then those can be, see that what kind of curriculum required for the training, what are the pedagogy required, is that already available in that particular company, or they need support from some BTP, and then how many people they need. And then TPS can come into picture where they can help to mobilize the resources also. They can help in, the TPS also plays very important role here. In case a company is facing difficulty in identifying or mobilizing the resources, the TPS team help the companies in that perspective. So TPS can help the companies right from the registration process to resource mobilization to, filing the reimbursement claim. All these steps can be supported through a TPA. So they can also help in registering the candidates in the portal, right? And and they can also collaborate with sector skill council in case there is a need of creating some curriculum for the training and all. And the assessment will be happening by the SSCs, right? And then there will be certificate issued. Yeah, I think my colleague from BOT, Mr. Paul, is not available. So there is no major difference between NAPS and NATS, other than the fact that NATS needs the graduates and diploma holders to be part of the program. So now I will take you through, there is a special program called Apprenticeship Embedded Degree Program. So this is a very win-win situation, right? Where the candidates get an opportunity to learn a specific course like BBA in detailing or BSc in hospital management. We will see some examples in the next slides while he works in the organization. So from the organization perspective, they get a commitment of minimum 3 years from the candidates because they are pursuing the course. In some cases, even the organizations may pay the reimburse the course fee for the students. So what is happening here? The student is engaged in the company for 3 years. So you got a minimum 3 years commitment. After completion of 3 years, the candidate is being certified or becoming a graduate. He got a 3 years of experience. He's earning stipend also, right? And in the other way, the company get a 3 years experience, person, right? So it's a joint or collaborated system, which is beneficial for both of them. There are various apprenticeship programs, like we have Flexi ITI, we have diploma programs, we have BBO programs, that is Bachelor of Vocation, and then we have apprenticeship embedded degree programs. So these programs run based on some semesters, and the students get stipend every month from the organization. So these are some of the benefits that we have listed here, like, so the students will get the benefit of getting a real-time experience right from the day one. So they will have some theory classes and they will have practical, they will be having physical work on the shop floor. So all these benefits that students will get. From the company perspective, they will get a continued commitment from the candidates, from the apprentices, and they can become the alternative to the contractual workers, right? So in case of an apprenticeship program, it runs in a tripartite model where a TPA and a sector skill council involved, because when there is a program called a graduation program, there has to be a university link also, right? So the collaboration happens between the industry, between the university, and between the TPA, along with the students. So the TPA and the organization, in collaboration with the university, they will design the required courses. It can be in automotive, it can be in retail, logistic, or it can be in healthcare, right? Based on the industry requirements. And then those programs can run jointly. So this is an example of BB retailing program, and this is being led by Team Skill University. So they have tie-up with companies like Tata, Starbucks and Chroma and all, where they will be deploying these selected candidates for minimum period of 3 years, where the students will be learning the courses maybe over the weekends or maybe every day 1 hour or something like that, and they will be working the whole day in the company, right? So those agreements are done between the industry, the university, and the students. So there are programs like BSc Mechatronics, right? BBA Retail and BBA Logistic. And similarly, another program is done by Timley Skill University on BSc Mechatronics. So if you see here, there are semester-wise programs, and for each semester it has been designed what are the things that trainees will be learning and implementing on the shop floor for each semester. And the minimum qualification required is 10+2 with physics, chemistry, and mathematics. Another example is this is by Medhavi Skill University. So they have collaboration with Trends, Reliance, and then Pantaloons. So where they will be engaging these students as apprentices while pursuing the course of BBA Retailing. So here we have put some examples of the courses. It is not that it is only limited to Medhavi Skill University or Team Skill University, but there are many organizations, there are many universities who have started doing these programs. It is just that you need to look out for who are the universities who are organizing this, and you can take advantage of that. This is another program, just to give an example for hospitality industry. So BSc Hospitality and Hotel Management. So here again, this opportunity is with ISC group of hotels where Medhavi Skill is having a collaboration, right? And you can see the duration is for 3 years, right? The student must be 18 years old and 12th pass. Need to have a good communication in English and Hindi, right? And these are the course fees, exam fees, loan facilities available. So once the student enroll into it, all these things will be taken care by the, maybe certain part by the company itself and certain part by the students, or completely by the students or completely by the establishment. So based on the scenarios, they will be defining this. So these are some of the support contacts that we have mentioned. So in case any of you would like to start these apprenticeship embedded programs, or you would like to engage some of these people to take support for HTPAs or for resource mobilization or for apprenticeship registration and all, you can be in touch with these people. And we also have a list of complete set of TPAs in the next slides. Yeah, so this slide talks about majorly who are the support available immediately. We have mentioned this name of these people because they are part of this apprenticeship working group. However, you can also explore other TPAs. The list has been given with this link. You can connect with anybody of them based on your convenience, based on their localization and all, and you can take support from that. In case of any issues or clarifications, we have Mr. K. Srinivas Rao from MSDE, Ms. Dibyata Goyal from NSDC, and for any concern with TPAs or any issues, you can connect with arpit.asthana@nsdcindia.org. From NATS perspective, we have Mr. Paul Edwards, and then we also have listed some of the sector skill council representatives. While we mentioned here about IT, ITS, healthcare, and pharma, however, you can see a complete set of sector skill council list and details in this attachment. The left side box talks about how you can register yourself if you are not registered yet, and you can also see the manual that is required for registering, right, for NAPS and also for NATS. With this, we will move to Q&A. Let me see if there are any questions in YouTube so that we can address that. So team on the YouTube, may I request if there are some questions that you might have, you can share with us and we will be addressing it. I will be sharing this presentation along with the YouTube link to all of you. So in case you have any questions or clarity, you can come back and we will be happy to clarify it. Okay, so I think still we have not got any questions. Fine. So probably with this, we will close the session for today. And for any questions and clarity, you can always drop an email to us, and we will be happy to address all of you. So I thank Mr. Jan and Shruti to setting the context and the introduction about apprenticeship. I thank all the participants for listening to us for around 40 minutes today about apprenticeship, different schemes, and what are the benefits, advantages for the employers. And we thank you for your participations, and we encourage you, we request all of you to please explore to hire and engage apprentices. Every month, second Monday, we are having Pradhan Mantri National Apprentice Mela in various government ITIs. You can visit this website called as apprenticeshipindia.gov.in. You can have a list there. And I'm just taking you back to the slide where we mentioned about Apprentice Mela. So in fact, I personally visited some of the ITIs and I can see lots of participation from different companies. So you can also participate. Lots of students are also visiting those locations. You can hire candidates, right from ITI, diploma, degree. All these kind of students are visiting those Apprentice Mela. So please participate in those melas, and I'm sure you will definitely get your recruitment fulfilled from there. So you can visit this website, dgt.gov.in, appmela index.php. So it happens every month, second Monday. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. Bye-bye.